Hey, everybody. Welcome to Wake Up Happy Sis radio show on KCCR The Brownstone. I'm your host, Leanne Dulce, with my unofficial co host over here, Tony Sanchez. And oh my God, you guys, we have such a great show for you guys today. Today, we are talking about unleashing your inner goddess and learning about women's sexual health and pleasure from two of my friends over here. We've got Goddess Honey Bee, we got Sha Cannon. I'm gonna give you guys their bios, and then we're just gonna jump right into this topic because we out here, we learning today, y'all, and we're gonna have a good time doing it. Sometimes women's sexuality and pleasure is a taboo subject, but today we going in, we getting raw and real. Okay, that's what we do over here. So let me start by introducing my awesome guests. So, Sha Cannon is a trusted fractional chief operating officer. Say that three times fast.
Yeah, I'm trying to told you.
For some seven figures, multiple six-figure and six-figure brands. She helps entrepreneurs to stop spinning their wheels by making their businesses make sense so that they can make money and create time freedom. We all about that coin, baby. Ching ching. She fulfills that mission by sharing content and trainings that bring clarity and focus for small business transformational growth. So, welcome to the show, Shay.
Thank you. Thank you.
And well, here we got Goddess Honeybee. She is a pro and lifestyle femdom and adult sex and kink educator. A self-described Black feminist freak, her kink practice is rooted in her politics and is explicitly in service of the freedom of Black people. In practice, this means that while the identities of those who worship her are varied, she prioritizes being a place where Black folks, especially Black women, trans, queer, genderqueer folks, can reimagine relationships to their own bodies, to certain implements like whips, floggers, ropes, and to pleasure more broadly. While her talents span a wide range of kink practices, her specialties are impact play, knife play, wax, and generally making people come, whilst at the intersection of fear, arousal, anticipation, and liberation. She is a member of the American Association of Sexuality Educators, Counselors, and Therapists, AASECT, and has presented workshops across the country, has been published in Yes Magazine. Welcome, Goddess Honeybee. Thank you for
Oh,
coming.
thank you for having me.
Yes. So, Tony, go ahead and introduce yourself real quick to the people in the audience.
Okay, well, good morning, first and foremost. Uh, I'm DJ Tony Sanchez, T-Man, host of the Eye of the Storm, located here in Chicago, Illinois. I'm also with KCCR Radio, the Brownstone, where we are changing the narrative of how we tell our story. So, good morning, my queens. I am honored to be here today. Boy, this gonna be interesting.
She said, let me look. We can all learn a little something over here today. That's what we're
Absolutely.
gonna learn today. Because
Ah,
I'm just here to learn.
that
I'm just
right.
here to learn. I'm just here to learn.
Help
So,
me to help me.
yes. So today again we are talking about women's sexual health and pleasure because that is such a taboo topic, and sometimes we feel like women's pleasure is not a thing. It's not a thing that we're supposed to expect, that we're supposed to have. We're just supposed to be out here popping babies out, and that's why we got these reproductive organs. And it's not for our pleasure. And understanding our health as related to our sexuality, right? Making sure that we are practicing safe sex, making sure that we are taking care of our bodies properly, right? So that everything keeps going and flowing as it should. So I want to start with you, Goddess Honeybee. Tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about, you already knew we was coming to be first, okay?
Yeah.
Because tell us how you got into being a sex and kink educator. How did that actually come about?
Yeah. I have kind of always been. First, thank you for having me. And that's probably one of my favorite topics. So I appreciate it. Honestly, came into it pretty honestly. I grew up in a household with a parent, with a mother who's listening now and is probably like, "Don't mention me," but she's getting mentioned. but she, really raised me and my sister not to be afraid of our bodies, not to feel any kind of shame. We knew what was going on in terms of like having a period. I remember when I was young, maybe like kindergarten or first grade, I got in trouble because I was telling people, you don't have a pocketbook, you have a vagina, you have a wee wee, you have a penis. I was like, no, your people are telling you all wrong. Um, and so have always, I say that because I've always been a person, really, I call myself like armchair sex educator, right? Fast forward, so I've been professionally been mostly like organizing, doing community organizing, nonprofit leadership work. And it was actually talking to a friend of mine, Yannick, who had invited me to kick it. She and her husband Ronnie have a beautiful bed and breakfast in Montego Bay, and we were talking about this idea of kind of like, what do you want to do? And for me, it had always been like, one day when Black people are not under fire, I'm going to go live by the water and just talk to Black people about sex, and really talk to Black women in particular about how to really have sex that is consistently pleasurable, that is the sex of our choosing, um, about desire, about unlearning those tropes and the things that we have been learned, shame around our bodies and around our sexuality and around our desire. And her challenge to me, she asked me a question. She was like, well, I don't understand why you have to wait in order to do that. Like, if you're saying that Black people's liberation is inextricably linked to freedom and Black people being free, then why aren't you doing that work now? And so I was really floored because I was like, yeah, okay, I get, to your point, what would it mean to go from being an armchair sex educator, armchair kinky girl, to really being intentional about it and uh, and turning it into like a practice. Right? So how do I? It first began with me doing like, yeah, my own work and being like, yeah, how does and how kink helped me? How has it supported me in being able to reconnect, and then offering that to other people? So yeah.
Okay, okay. And so along that line of women's freedom, right, and gaining that freedom,
Hmm.
what do you think are some of the misconceptions that people have in kind of that, and this is for you too, Shay, when it comes to sex, to our pleasure,
Mm,
to expression, body expression, and things of that nature? What do you think are some of the misconceptions, and how do we get past those?
yeah, I mean, I would say a couple of the big ones, and then I really am curious your take too, Shay, are like erotophobia and whorephobia, right? So the fear of being seen or categorized as a whore, the fear of being
Uh-oh.
Oh, right at the good part.
I know, right? You want me to go ahead and give my little take while we wait?
Damn internet.
Yeah, yeah. Let's say she's having some internet problems, y'all. She's gonna come back in a
Yeah,
minute.
she's gonna come back with the thunder, with the good
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, because she was
Um,
on the. Ooh.
I
My,
know, right? She was just about to give it to us. So for me, I think the biggest misconception is that pleasure is something that happens to you and not something that we need to take ownership of and be intentional about, which is why a lot of people don't end up having pleasure. That's why you're not waking up happy, sis, because you're not taking your pleasure into your own hands and understanding like that's your job, right? It's
Yes.
you, and so you direct that and you direct it with intention. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, you got to take ownership of your pleasure. It's not something done to you. It is for you, but it's something that you do for yourself. And even if you're doing it for others, I mean, you still gonna get some pleasure out of it. But you need to put yourself first, right? You
Yes.
amen.
need to make sure that you're getting pleasure out of things. You need to pay attention and be intentional so that you actually know what brings you pleasure and what doesn't. I think that so many people get caught up in the flow of life, right? They're
Mhm.
just being dragged along around other people's courses of life. You're people pleasing, you're doing all the things, and you're pleasing everybody but yourself. And so you're going to look up And you're going to realize you're not waking up happy, sis. And some of that is because you haven't taken ownership of your own happiness, your own pleasure.
Mhm.
Okay, now.
And I agree with that. And I think when you look in the terms of masturbation, that is
Yes.
such a taboo word. Oh my God, we don't masturbate. That's a bad thing, right? But along the lines of taking ownership, if I don't know what makes me happy, what pleases me
Come
sexually,
on now. Come on now.
how can I expect someone else to come along and please me? Right?
Mhm.
Most of my life, I've never actually had an orgasm.
Mm.
Never. Right? Oh,
Mhm.
okay, she's back. Let's let her back in. All right, you're back.
Lord.
You gotta love internet. Look, technology gonna act up, right? Technology is gonna act up, right?
Oh,
But now that you're back, now you gotta get back. Like, let me get back to my train of thought. But
Yeah.
we were talking about the common misconceptions. You were starting with eroto. You said eroto something
oh
and
yeah. Oh,
phobia. Yeah.
yeah. Phobia, the fear of erotic, whorephobia, like the fear of being a whore, being classified as a whore or a hoe. And Black women's sexuality has been used to subjugate us and control us for hundreds and hundreds of years, right? When you look at um, even during slavery, the Black woman's body was used as a weapon and really like weaponized against us. Our sexuality has never really been our own, right? It's been defined by others for us for
Mm-hmm.
years. And so that's one of the common misconceptions. Like, oh, if you are a person who is sexual, if you are a person who enjoys sex a lot, it's like, oh, you must be addicted, or oh, you're hypersexual, you're sexual. And really, by definition, hypersexual is your desire of sex or your desire of kink or any of those things disrupting your life, right? So is it disrupting your ability to pay your bills? Is it disrupting your ability to take care of your kids? Is it disrupting your ability to actually do what's necessary in your daily life, right? That really is the definition. And if that's not happening, you're just a person who likes to have sex, right? You're just a person who enjoys those things. I'd say the other common misconception about kink in particular is that it's some white people shit. Um, there are there's a huge, rich history of Black people and Black people doing kink, Black people engaging in BDSM. And I'll say for me, that was one of the kind of barriers to really getting into BDSM as a community, is being like, oh, well, you can't let people know that you're into this, like, because this is some white people shit. So I can't, really tell other Black folks, like, yeah, this is what I'm into. And yeah, that's a huge misconception. Um, Kink BDSM is rooted in consent. So I'd say another misconception is that like BDSM is about violence. And it's like, nope, if it is not rooted in consent, if it is not rooted in pleasure, if it is not rooted in um, really doing what someone else is down for, then that's not BDSM. Like that is coercion, that is like assault, but someone hitting you against your will is not a sexual practice, right? That is assault. But people experimenting with their relationship to pain, experimenting with their relationship to being hit, experimenting with their relationship to relinquishing control, that is what BDSM is about.
Yeah. And if I may add to that, I mean, I just have this theory, right, that I hold on to dear, and that is there is no such thing as a freak when it comes to sex, right? There's just things people will do and things people will not do. And so whatever you want to do, you just find somebody that wants you to do it or that will do it with you. So to me, I mean, we have so many labels that are put there to stifle us, right? And
Mm-hmm.
we have more as women and as Black women than anybody else, right?
Yep.
And so one of the things that I think that we in particular as Black women grow up with is I'm from the South. I'm from Alabama. I'm sure y'all can hear all this Alabama, right? And so in the South, right, you have a huge religious connotation of what being a lady is, right?
Yeah.
You're taught all of these things that you should not be doing, but all of a sudden, when you get married, you're supposed to know what to do. Well, how the hell does that work, right? And so we're kind of set up for failure.
Yep.
honey, while you were gone, what I said was one misconception was that pleasure is something that's done to you and not something
Yes.
you are an owner of, right? And
Yes.
so for me, it's hard to own something you were always told not to do,
Yeah.
right? And so it's just, some of us that are been rebellious since the beginning, we kind of found ourselves and we
Yeah.
found our footing. Leanne, you were talking about masturbation, right? And you were saying that you had never had an orgasm until when now? Because I think you're about to prove another theory that
Right.
I have. So you please tell us about that.
So honestly, I was in my 30s
Hmm.
before I'd ever had
I
an
just want to
orgasm.
smack every
Right?
person who you slept with before then.
Well, you know what? This was the thing.
Hmm.
Um, Orgasms are not my end game,
Yes, come
Hmm.
on.
I guess,
Say more.
right?
Yeah.
That's a piece of it, but I don't have to have one to have had a great sexual experience,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
For me, sex is about the connection. So I'm not just out here sleeping with any Tom, Dick, and Harry. There has to be something that I feel a connection or something. Now, don't say I ain't never been on my whole shit because
Okay, now, cause I was finna say now. Come on
everybody
now.
Ooh,
done had some
We
other
keeping it real.
shows.
We keeping it
We keep
real.
it real. Oh,
Yeah.
I've had a couple of hoe faces. They go in waves, right? They go in waves, right? But I'm still very particular about anybody that I engage with because there's that exchange of energy, right? That happens. So for me, orgasm isn't the end game. It's nice if I have it, but I know how to get it on my own. So if
Yes.
I don't have it, I like the connection. I like the closeness. There are other aspects of sex that I like. And
Hmm.
I'm not sure if that's because I'd never had one. So I
Hmm.
had to create my own concept of pleasure, and to this day, most men don't know how to make me orgasm.
Okay.
And I feel like if I have to tell
So is
you,
there not a form of education in there somewhere, Leanne? Because if you know how to get you off, right?
I
Because
will, and I
for
will tell
me,
you, but
yeah.
everybody you have, and that's when you have to realize everybody isn't out for the same thing.
Ah,
Every
okay.
sexual experience is not me wanting to please him and him wanting to please me.
Okay.
Sometimes he just out there trying to please himself.
Hmm.
Honestly, too often he's just out here trying to please himself. Because
Hey, hey,
also
hey,
we
hey,
have to
hey,
talk. We have to talk
hey.
about. But what men are taught. So just like women are taught, I love what you said, Shay, in terms of it's as though you
It's
just
something
come of
happening
age and
to
you should
you.
just know,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, and also this idea that you come of age and all of a sudden you know what to do, right? Good sex is something that just happens. You don't have to plan for it. You don't have to try for it. It just happens. And what I love about like even this part of the conversation that we're getting into is one like yeah, you actually get to and should explore yourself. I think the beautiful thing about or the hard thing about what men are taught is that they're also taught that like they come of age and they just automatically know how to please a woman. They automatically know what happens. That doing one thing, just like sticking it in, and that penetrative sex is the epitome of sex. And that there are a lot of men who are like, oh, it's penetrative sex. And if he really thinks he's a freak, he's like, okay, then I'm gonna eat your pussy. And they go eat your pussy for like, 5 minutes. And then go about his business because to your point, Leanne, too many men's primary focus is on their own pleasure. But that is a learned behavior, right? That is the society is focused on men's pleasure, right? Like porn is focused on men's pleasure. I was a full grown adult as a person who was like sneaking and watching porn for the longest. I was a full grown adult before I saw a cunnilingus scene, a scene where a woman was getting orally pleasured, was getting her pussy ate for more than like 3 minutes of the scene, right? Because porn is like he's gonna get his dick sucked for like most of this. He may get in there and be like, "Meh, meh, 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 meh," and then like that's it, and then we on to Pound Town, right? And he's jackhammering that shit. And so men are learning, too many men are learning how to engage in sex, not from their partners, but from pornography and these other avenues that say, like, oh, yeah, this is how you do it. And then I just assume that the woman is having fun, right?
Yeah. And I feel like, again, honey, that's a part of that ownership that we have to take, right? Because because somebody is fine, just because they tall, dark, and handsome, don't mean they know what they're doing. Just because you
Preach.
heard he was good in bed, doesn't mean he's gonna know what to do with you. I mean,
Preach.
Leanne, I'm just gonna say, I herald you as being so giving, as to, that not being the goal for you every time. This is your girl's goal every time. Like, we both are going to have a good time. If we're both not having a good time, we need to be in a long-term relationship where your past has given a lot of pleasure, and I'm willing to do that now. But we're not going to start off with Shay not getting her pleasure too. So I feel like that ownership, that teaching you that, hey, I like this, I like that. Let's make sure we both have a good time. What do you like? It's a shared experience. I'm not willing to go into it with it being a singular experience for one person to
Mm-hmm.
wake up happy. You know what I'm saying? We both gonna wake up happy.
Yeah.
Or I don't mind stopping it, by the way.
Yeah.
No, I definitely agree. But the reality is there are more women adult women who've never had an orgasm,
Yeah.
or who don't orgasm from penetration.
Yep.
They need direct clitoral stimulation,
Yep.
Yes.
in order to orgasm, right? Unfortunately, I'm of that latter community, right?
Why is that unfortunate?
Yeah.
Don't
Well,
don't
I
stigmatize
think
yourself.
unfortunately, but I am a part of that latter community, right?
Me
And
too.
so what I've
Yeah.
learned is that you have to have a partner who's okay with introducing toys sometimes.
Yeah.
And that is a whole other dicey thing if you have a
Child.
man who isn't equally yoked with you about we're here for each other's pleasure and gain, right?
Fragile is what it is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Masculinity is so fragile that you're scared of a device.
Mm.
But I'm like, this thing, I got to plug it in to make it go. How are you afraid, or threatened by a device? And if, to your point, Leanne, you are focused on my pleasure, why would you not want to do everything possible? Because that's what I'm trying to do. Everything possible to satisfy my partner.
Because I
Right?
get pleasure out of that as well, right?
Mhm.
And I think that's the first thing I'll say is there needs to be more communication. So
Yeah.
instead of people just jumping to sex, because sex also for me is a very mental thing, right? It
Mm.
starts up here before it starts down here.
Yeah.
So having those conversations, understanding who this person is, right? Because I'm
Yeah.
a whole different person now in how I engage with somebody than
Mhm.
before, right? So now there has to be some conversation, some understanding, of who he is, who I am. Because yeah, I
Yeah.
will stop it too. Now don't think I won't stop it if I'm not enjoying the engagement, the interaction. I'm literally going to, I have no problem with that. This
Yeah.
really ain't working.
I feel like that's the real definition of self-care, Leanne. Stop that shit if it ain't. Cut it out.
Get up.
So let's talk a little bit about
Can I say one thing
overcoming.
before we
Oh
switch
yeah, go
gears
ahead. Go
really
ahead.
quickly? Because I do want to just emphasize what you said about orgasm not being the goal. In terms of one of the misconceptions, I think orgasm being the ultimate goal, and this is maybe controversial in some circles, but I do view that as a misconception. Because what you said about sex being able to be enjoyable without an orgasm, for me, is true. And for many women, there are many folks who are anorgasmic, so who just like can't have an orgasm, but who have enjoyable sex. And so the focus really is on pleasure. Am I having a pleasurable experience? Am I enjoying myself? Is my partner doing the things that could lead me to this precipice? Is my partner doing the things that make me feel good, make me feel wanted, make me feel desired, make me feel sexy, make me feel like, yes, right? Like I want this to happen. Is this an experience that's consensual, that's chosen, that's healthy? Do I feel safe? Do I know this person's status? Do they know my status? Like, you know what I mean? I think that to your point, there are so many things that make sex good. And that, yes, I love orgasms. I love to come. I just love it. And I've had really excellent, satisfying sex that didn't end in orgasm. Sometimes that didn't end in orgasm for either of us, because sometimes it was the thrill that was the thing, or the, where we were that was the thing, or what we were doing. And as a dominatrix in particular, so little of BDSM is actually about sex, like sexual intercourse. Like, so much of it is about how do you use and arouse and stimulate a person's all of their other senses to bring about this real sexual experience. So I just wanted to say that, especially if you have listeners who are like, oh shit, like I'm not coming, is something wrong with me? I thought I was having fun. It's like,
Right.
your sexual journey is yours to define. If you are fucking and not coming and enjoying yourself, then you're doing it right.
Exactly. And honey, would you not say that there are also different levels of orgasm? Like all of it is not the big
Absolutely.
O. You know what I'm saying? So when I say I
Absolutely.
have to have an orgasm, I'm not talking about the big O every time. Like I have levels in this thing. You know what I'm saying? And so
Yes.
as long as we're reaching some of these levels, it's a great time. So yeah.
Yes.
Until you've had an extended one. I don't know about those. Okay. I had one that lasted like 15 minutes one time.
Oh
Ooh.
no.
Oh shit. That's not an, that was it. It's
That sounds like a
at
job.
some point,
You barely
right,
survived, huh? You barely made
bro,
it.
I couldn't make it stop. I was like, oh my God, make it stop. It's
And God was like, no.
no.
The
And
clitoris has
sitting there
8,000
like,
nerve
right,
endings.
he
This
was
will
sitting
not
there
stop.
like, as a man, I feel like, okay, I did that.
Okay.
Or we did that, but let's see. So I want to talk a little bit about the BDSM, because that kind of piqued my interest, my curiosity level. So when you're saying, so tell me a little bit more about that, about it really being less about the actual act of sex, and more about stimulating the other systems, because I definitely think that's a major kind of misunderstanding that people have about the BDSM world.
Yeah, huge misunderstanding. That there definitely are people who like have sex with their partners, or who engage in sex with clients, and so this is like no shade or shame to those people, but there are also just lots of us who don't, or who engage in the kinks of it. It forces you to be more mindful, I think. BDSM forces you, whether you're the dominant or the person who's doing the kinks, or the top, because you can be a top without being a dominant, and a dominant without being a top. So if you're the person doing the kinks, so if you're the person flogging, you're the person tickling, you're the person massaging, you're the person rubbing, you can, so like for me, orgasm denial is probably one of my favorite things to do, which is intentionally getting someone incredibly riled up, incredibly aroused, and not allowing them to come, right? It's one definition of edging. So bringing someone to the edge of orgasm and walking it back. But you can do that through like extended touch of everywhere that's not your genitals. Like, so often people go immediately to genital touch when it comes to sex. And there are so many erogenous zones on a person's body. And like engaging in kink and like BDSM and the slowness really allow you to discover those things, right? It allows you to say like, okay, well, how do you respond if I drip hot wax on you and then rub ice cold ice on you? Like, how do you respond if I drag my, acrylic nails down your back? Like, how do you respond if I'm literally touching everywhere but your clitoris? Like, how do you respond if I'm like, my mouth is inches away from your dick, but you can't move, you can't touch yourself, you're not allowed to do anything, or maybe you're restrained or you're tied up. And it forces you, there's a level of discipline and also a level of focus, right? Because I'll say for a lot of people's sexual experiences, how often do you get to be the focus, right? How often do you get to truly be the only thing that matters? And for me and the people who bottom for me, my goal is always like, I want you, there could be a million people watching us. And Leanne knows this because she's seen me do it, but I'm like, I get in the zone. And I'm like, when it's the two of us, it's the two of us. It could be 50 people watching us. And my job as the dominant, as the person who's curating this experience for you, is to build up like a wall. It's like a Marvel movie, right? And I'm like building up this wall and visibility where it's just me and you, and it's just your pleasure that I'm focused on. And it turns me on. Like that level of intention turns me on. And I'm not touching their genitals. They're not touching my genitals. I'm not entering them. They're not entering me. I have women who are not sexually attracted to women who engage me because that experience is unique, right? And that experience is less about, am I sexually attracted to the person who's doing this? And is really about, am I sexually attracted to myself for real? Like, am I enjoying the shit out of this? And so BDSM just makes you, it forces a person to get more creative, to turn up their focus. And yeah, to do, I can make you come without ever entering you. I've made women squirt from flogging. Um, I've made men come from like talking them through it. But it requires a level of intention, time, taking my time, and listening to your partner, listening to what turns them on, listening to what it is that they desire, and then curating that fantasy.
Okay.
So I love that you told you're educating them on all of that, right? Because to
Mhm.
me, what I feel like gets lost is people don't understand it's mostly about limits and pushing them, finding out where yours is, where it isn't, right? Which is why it's so consent based, right? Which is why there
Yes.
are things like safe words, right?
Yeah.
Because it's all about you finding out about you and what your limits are on whatever side of the coin that you're working on, right?
Absolutely.
And you might want to try different sides of the coin, so that because you might be better at one than the other, and you just didn't think that you would be. So
Yes.
I really feel like it's about limits and it's about self-discovery. It's about, I mean, I just love that you're having this conversation, Leanne, because it's all about self-care, right? And I know people are like, well, why is this person that's a fractional chief operating officer on here talking about sex? Because my key thing is about designing your life, right?
Yes.
Business is supposed to fund it, but you're supposed to be funding an actual life. So yes, I
Yes.
live in these different countries. I'm here in Argentina. When I go to I date local, right? And I have local experiences, all of them.
Yay.
Okay. And so I mean, for me, it's all about having a full life. And a lot of the things that you learn about yourself carry over into business. It carries over into parenting. It carries over into everything. So the more you know about yourself, the better you're going to be in all of these other areas. All
Absolutely.
of the other areas.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, definitely. I definitely agree. And sexual health, sexual pleasure is a part of our self-care,
Mm-hmm.
right? When we take care of ourselves, we're not just talking about your weight, your
Mm-hmm.
diet, right? All of our systems are linked.
Mhm.
Everything is linked. When you're happy, when you're sad, these are a part of even healing, right? Sex
Mm-hmm.
can be used, sex and sexual experiences can be used as healing mechanisms
Absolutely.
as well, right? I've always wanted to be a to practice tantric arts,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I once had a guy offer that to me, but it just didn't feel right when he said it. It was like, no, thank you, no, thank you. Yeah,
Uh,
because it's about connection. It's about having and
Yeah.
feeling right with that person.
yep.
What and again, like gotta said, it's not about always being sexually attracted to that specific person because it
Mm-hmm.
is about the person, it's about the experience,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we should all learn first ourselves because you can't expect anybody else to know you if you don't know you,
Amen.
right? What makes you happy? What turns you on, right? For me, if somebody's kissing up my back, up the top part of my back, up to my neck,
Woo!
that is a major,
Yes, we go together now.
you know what I mean? You
We go
are
together
my
real
boo.
bad.
You are my boo.
Mm-hmm.
Don't play with me. Like, where
Mm-hmm.
you at? You need lunch? What you want today, boo? Like that, Um, or a nice butt
Truly.
rub, right?
Mm. And you have a lot of butt.
I do. There is a lot of it there. There's a lot of it there to be rubbed, right? And just finding what makes you happy.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think are some kind of fun, exciting, maybe out of the box ways that women can kind of learn their body and find out what excites them, even if it's, oh, I really found out that I like a man with a nice, juicy booty. Like, what are some ways that women can go about kind of finding and exploring and enhancing their own sexual pleasure? Come on,
You want to kick us off, Shay?
go ahead.
Sure, sure. Because I'm thinking, I'm just like, I think the first thing is to be open, right? To be open. Because even when I if I have a when I have a new sexual partner, right? I want him to do his thing before I start telling him what I like. Because what if he knows something to do that I didn't know about, and now I've cut off that by giving him something else, and now he's only focused on that, right? So I think to be open to trying new things, to having new experiences, right? To prioritizing the fact that you want to have experiences, not just an orgasm, right? And so you have to be open to what are new things. A great way to discover yourself is to take yourself section by section, right? You can touch yourself. What do I like in touching myself? Okay. You have a partner, you can say, hey, I would like to play this game with you. I want to go first. But could you just touch me in any way you feel possible, just in my midsection, right? Or just, in my chest, you know what I'm saying? And then you do the same for that person. But I think it's all about exploring. I think that when you do what you know to do, then you have the same experiences over and over again. So you have to be open and look at it as an experience to be had.
I love that. Um, so I am a person who I'm sexually attracted to people of many genders. I'm not just attracted to men. And for me, the key, I think, has always been about like the first person I was ever attracted to was myself, which I think to some people sounds narcissistic, but I'm like, no, like I really enjoy myself and I really know how to have a good time all by myself. Which one also opens me up to an array because I'm like, oh, I'm just not willing to deal with people's
Yeah.
bullshit because I'm like, just for good sex, because I'm like, I actually ain't nobody gonna fuck me like me. So I can, now I got like a machine. I have all the toys. I have like a whole chest. I'm like, yeah,
It's on.
I can do this. But I would say for me, one of the key tips, things that I tell my clients first, is to really seduce yourself. So set some time aside. If you have kids or if you have like a significant other, send them away, send them somewhere, or maybe take yourself away if that's easier. A room for the night or just like somewhere where you can get away. Get you some candles, get you a playlist, get you some nice oil, warm it up. Um, Put you on, like turn no devices, put your devices on do not disturb. Maybe sometimes if this is something you're into, like take yourself to a nice dinner first, right? Or cook yourself a nice meal first. And really seduce yourself. The things that you want another person to do first, do them for yourself. So like these finger tattoos I have, this one is on my wedding finger because I'm like, I am mine before I am anyone else's, right?
Yeah.
And abiding by that um, is such a gateway to unlimited pleasure. And I would say, yeah, masturbate intentionally, right? And not just skipping to your hands on, your genitals, but really hearkening back to what Shay said, honestly, like touching yourself everywhere but there, touching yourself everywhere, go all around the areola, but skip the nipple, right? Um, Reach back and like massage that back of your neck, like the really sensitive parts. Um, Take your time putting on like lotion or oil and really like rub yourself down, and seduce yourself and then make yourself deliver the pleasure that you want to yourself so that some strategies, but also not even just to know some strategies for someone else to get you off, but that you are reminded that your body is your home and you get to come home to yourself whenever you want, right? You've had a long day, a bad day, shit's going wrong. You can always come home to yourself. And masturbation, especially intentional masturbation, is a great reminder of that, and I think is a really great way to take care of yourself and to indulge in a deeply sensuous, sumptuous, pleasurable experience.
And I love that concept of seduce yourself, right?
Mhm.
Because if you don't feel sexy first, like for me, anybody who knows me knows I'm a nudist. That's my preferred
Yay.
way to be, right? But I love lingerie too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do the things that make you feel sexy
Mm-hmm.
by yourself, not I want to look sexy for him or her, but
Mm-mm.
for yourself,
Yes.
right? My goal, even with my whole business of Wake Up Happy Sis, is you making yourself a priority in your life,
Mm-hmm.
right? You need to be the star player on your team,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I'm the leading lady in my movie,
Yeah.
right? We're so used to putting everybody ahead of us and everybody else's pleasure. That's great if you want to do that, but you also have to know what pleasures you first too,
Yeah.
and
And
that's
like some of the things, like I have so many nude, like I take nudes for myself
Mhm.
because I'm like, damn girl, you are fine. Okay. The nudes there for me. Okay.
Mhm.
Uh and not to say that they can't be for other people too, but the first boudoir shoots that I did, like they were for me. It wasn't like, oh, like who can I gift this to? It's like I'm the gift. My boudoir shots are hanging up. Okay, when anyone comes, the cleaning lady comes, I'm like, yeah, baby, that's me. Okay, I want to shout out my uncle Charles who taught me that because he had like done an erotic photo shoot with my aunt. I was traumatized, of course, as a child. I was like, what is happening? And he was like, well, it's my bedroom. You should have been in there. And I was like, okay, all right.
be like, you
Um,
right.
but as an adult, I actually do understand where I'm like, oh, this was about celebrating this this relationship isn't, or their relationship wasn't just about like loving each other, but it was also about pleasing each other, right? It was also about seeing each other as like deeply sexy and wanting to honor that and see that. And as an adult, I can appreciate that. And I'm like, yeah, take the pictures for yourself, do the things.
Hmm. No, definitely. I did a when we were in Jamaica, I
Yes,
did
you did.
the photo shoot, and there's one picture. Shout out to Mark. Mark,
Yes.
Mark was my photographer. There was one picture on the heater wall that I'm gonna send to you guys so you guys can see it. Not you, Tony, because you can't see it. Wait, I'm gonna see
Damn.
it. It's dope, but it's dope. And there's
Damn, ain't that kind of like
I know that's sexist, huh? That's rude.
yeah, yeah. I'm like, damn,
Hey, sexist.
y'all already done just told all men just straight up. I'm just listening like, and I was raised in a house full of women, so what y'all, I was taught all of nothing. Let me just be quiet, cause y'all just working my nerve.
Speak your mind, Tony. Don't be mad. Don't be mad over here, Tony.
No, animals and dogs get mad. You know what I'm saying? I'm just kind of like perplexed right now. You dig what I'm saying? But I'm here to learn a little something. I'm here to
Well,
learn
the
something.
difference is, and this is what I think, that one, we have to take our ego out of the equation first, right? And I think sometimes, no, just listen, sometimes, and that's for men as well as women, right? We have to take our ego out of the equation first. That's the first way that I learned that how to please other people was to take my ego out of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And ensure that, because originally, even though I wasn't about having an orgasm, it was still about me, 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 and not about us, not about a shared experience, not about enjoying that person. And like you said, God, is about seeing that person as deeply sexy and
Mm-hmm.
wanting to please them and all of that. Because when my focus is on him and his focus is on me, there's no way that the two of us are not going to have an amazing sexual experience because you're focused on that other person, which is also bringing you pleasure. So we're not here saying that we're discounting men. I love men. Love the hell out of them. Love all the sex with all, not all the men, because that sounded. But even if I did, that's my business. But I love it. I love engaging with men and learning who they are and learning about the things that bring them pleasure, right? And learning how you can push a person, like you said, to that point and, and take them over the top. And so it's a great experience for you and them, right? But back to my picture, you got me off what I was saying,
I
Tony.
know, right? But before you go back to your picture, I mean, to me, it's like what Honey said. Basically, if you love you first, if you experiment and understand you first, you don't put such pressure on your act with another person either.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like some of you don't know yourself, and so your only chance you think of pleasure is when someone else does something to you. That's a
Yep.
lot of weight on that one little incident, that one little blip in the radar. When you know yourself and you know how to pleasure yourself, then there's not all of that weight. You can
Yep.
do things like this for another person because that's not your last chance at an orgasm. And so I
Yep.
think that was important that you kind of brought it back, Leanne, to what Honey was saying. But yeah, I want to hear about this picture. So did you see something and reenact it? Is that what you're telling me?
It's a
Um,
hot photo. It's a hot
Mark
photo.
is really good at you tell him kind of what you want to do
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know, but I do have pictures of things that I've seen, right? Or things that I want to try, but I, I'm not good at that looking sexy thing. To me, it always looks awkward as shit when I try it. It's like, what, you look flicked when
Yeah,
I
yeah.
try it. So it takes a good
I'm
photographer.
giving you the side eye because
Yeah.
you are not bad at being sexy. That's just not true.
But in
Yeah.
my mind, when I see pictures of it, the expression always looks like I'm afflicted somewhere in my life. But this one picture is like laying on the wall. It's black and white, so that even just made it feel so much sexier. But looking at the pictures, and I posted some of them on Facebook, right? So people, I posted the one where he tied me up a little bit, and it empowered me. I'm trying to figure out how I can, if I can put them on the mixed tiles, because I don't know. You can't always send everything out because that might be, an issue, but where I can get some big ones printed so I can put them in my house.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you come in my house, you probably are going to see some parts of my body. I mean, it's my house. Right.
Yeah.
And
You
I
don't like
think
it, you can leave.
every woman should have a boudoir photo shoot
Amen.
because it's so important that you feel sexy to you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right. I want to circle back to that point and really drive that point home. Do the things that make you feel sexy
Mhm.
for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is so important.
And do it now. Don't wait on
Yeah.
something. Don't feel like, oh, I gotta. So many folks right here are
Woo.
like, oh, well, I have to lose weight first. I have to
I,
do this first.
yes.
And I'm like, what? You? I hope you're not waiting to lose weight till you like have sex and have other pleasurable experiences. Why would you deny yourself because of some? And I'm like, lose weight for what? You look good now. Take the pictures. Take the pictures,
Exactly.
sis.
And even as we grow older, our body changes, whether it's weight
Yes.
or just redistribution of weight, right? So
Yes.
it gives you an opportunity to learn yourself all over again. It's not that
Yes.
you're not sexy. You just need to learn how to be sexy again. So if you're not comfortable with nudity, then find the right lingerie that works for you. Not just the one on the picture, not just
That's
the
right.
one they want to sell you. Which one, covers whatever you need to cover and shows whatever you want to show, right?
Yeah.
I just think that so often we're so busy looking on the outside when you should start with looking on the inside. What do you need to feel the way you need to feel? And then that's going to radiate outwardly. Because what people don't understand is judgmental people always have a bad judgment until you revoke their judgment. Then all of a sudden, now you're confident, you're brave, and all of these things. But you with other words first. But if you stay with being brave and stay with being confident, and stay with this is what works for me, watch you build a tribe of people that now start to cheerlead you. You just
Yeah.
have to know yourself and feel empowered with what you know about yourself. And so that goes over into, are you going to wake up happy? Are you going to be able to pleasure yourself? Or
Right.
other people going to be able to pleasure you too?
That's right. So let me do a little station identification real quick. You are listening to Wake Up Happy Sis on KCCR the Brownstone, where we are changing the narrative for our Black and Brown people by telling our stories our way. So I want to, as we kind of wrap up, when we got like 10 minutes, I told you the show goes so quick, right? When you're having a good conversation. So one of the things I want to talk about is for the woman, because I think this segues right from what you were saying, Shay, is for that woman who is struggling, right, to feel confident and to feel empowered in their sexuality, right? What are some tips that we can give them? We've already given them do what makes you feel sexy. I think you take a good boudoir shot and you get that one shot, that boss bitch shot, that does so much to boost a woman or a man's confidence. What are some other things that they can do to kind of help trying to boost their confidence and open themselves up to their sexuality? Want to start, Goddess?
Sure. Um, yeah. So I would say a couple of things. The first one, again, I mean, maybe controversial in some circles. Hire a sex worker and engage them in a session, right? Like hire a dominatrix, like hire a pleasure coach, like hire someone who is down to actually through that process with you and partner with you to discover that. Experiment, right? Like experiment in places and reading things, and there's so many things you can do, even just like right from the comfort of your home. Get on Twitter, see what kind of things turn you on. If you're worried about someone seeing your search, go on Twitter. Twitter has some of the like best that you'll see what turns you on, see what arouses you. And that's something you don't have to share with anyone but yourself, right? I'd also say the other thing is engage a sex therapist. So especially if you're someone who might have trauma around sex, if you're someone who may like really have some other barriers that are blocking you from really living your best life and blocking you from being able to fully experience pleasure. There's no shame in working with someone who is certified, who done went to school, they done, learned some really important things, just to help you. Like that is such a gift to yourself. It could be such a gift to yourself. And I would say, yeah, those are two things that people can do. Yeah, hire you a pleasure professional who is my focus is you. You don't have to worry about what you can do for me. It's like, it's you. It's all you. And that exploration and that journey can be curated for you. And you can have someone, you should vet them, of course, like, make sure that they're who they say they are, doing what they're supposed to do. Because there are definitely, just like any other place in the world, there are people who will prey on folks who are newer to kink and other lifestyles. So definitely make sure, who are your people, who knows you, who's your community. You want to vet people. But yeah, hire a pleasure professional. I would highly recommend that for people who are engaging in this journey. Go some of the places, go to hedonism, go places, experiment with nudity. Experiment with some of the low stakes things. And yeah, I think that those are some good ways.
What about you, Shay? Any thoughts? Any?
Yes, that's rarely a time I don't have a thought. But yes, so I just feel like, everything is connected, right? Everything in life is connected, and how you approach things can be the same. It could work the same for any area of life. So in business, when you want to know something, you research and you educate yourself, right? Me living in these different countries where I don't know anybody, when I get there, all that kind of stuff, I feel like the antidote to any fear you have is going to be education, right? It's going to be familiarizing yourself with it. One of the ways I think in sex that you can easily familiarize yourself, because you're not really scared of yourself for you, you're really afraid of being judged, right? That's what it is. So go to some people that you've had sexual encounters with and ask them what was their experience, right? One of my favorite things to do is to ask a man, how did it feel to be inside of me? What do I smell like? What do I taste like? All of these things. I'm gathering information, right? What about me made it a pleasurable experience for him, right? Now I'm giving myself pleasurable experiences from someone else to fill my head instead of the things that I fear being judged by, right? So you can replace those negative thoughts with great experiences
Yeah.
based on someone else's experience with you. And I think that's easy to do, right? Because if you can let somebody inside you, you can ask them questions. Come on, ask some questions.
And if you can't ask them a question, should they be inside you?
Exactly.
Amen.
Exactly. And so I feel like that brings about a whole nother part of the experience where you're getting to know yourself through other people, right? Because there's a power in knowing how you affect people. There's a
Mm-hmm.
power in knowing how people see you. You know what I'm saying? There's a power in knowing how people truly enjoy you rather than what you just think they enjoy. And you might be pleasantly surprised. Some of the things that you felt like was a negative is the very thing that turned them on. And so that can help change your view of some things. And so I really feel like you can help to curate these experiences and your pleasure and wake up happy, sis, if you can feel like you can pull in the experience of other people and how they experience you.
And I think for me to add to that is own your sexuality first,
Mm-hmm.
right? Own it. I tell people all the time I'm living my best whole life or whatever. Because the connotation around hoe needs to go away,
Yeah.
right? As a negative. I'm sorry. You can call me what you want because last I
No, I'm
checked,
pro ho in these parts.
yeah,
Yeah.
my
And
bills
you
are
know
paid
what?
over here. I handle
For
my
me,
business, you
For
know.
me, I feel like for someone to be able to call you a hoe, either you telling too much of your own business, or they don't know you at all, right? And so, why do you even care? But if you're afraid of being called a whore, then keep your business to yourself. I mean, you don't have to let other people know your business. They don't have to know how many partners you've had and what you're out here doing or whatever. They don't have to know if you're afraid of getting labels that you can't handle. Shut up, then. How about that? Talk to the people that are
But
trusted.
I think a lot of it is rooted in how we were raised, right?
Yeah.
We were raised that some of these things are negatives. So a lot of women have, and I found a lot of Black women in particular have these thoughts about what sex is supposed to be, how I'm supposed to be as a sexual being, right?
Yeah.
So their fear of being judged came from a place of women don't do this, good women don't do
Mm-hmm.
this, she's loose,
Yep.
she's that, you don't wear
Yep.
red lipstick, you don't do this, you don't do that, right?
Yes.
So we have to first get rid of all those stigmas,
You
all
do.
of the things that have been taught to us. And that's what one of the things you said early on, Goddess, is that we had to get rid of all of those labels, all the things and they put upon us
Yeah.
and own our sexuality. That's the first thing I would say is learn how to own that sexuality, figure out who you are and what you like and own that shit. It doesn't mean you telling everybody in the world. You're owning it
Exactly.
for you. You're owning it for you. But I share because I don't give a shit. You can
Yeah.
Yeah,
judge
but
me all you
I'm
want.
just saying for
You
the
Yeah.
know?
people
Also,
who
when I
can
look at my
afford
bills, when I look at, I'm like, what? You
exactly
pay none of them. That's wild.
none
Like,
of
why
it
would I care
affect
what
you
you
in
say?
no way. But I just want people to know who are afraid of the judgment and the judgment is stifling them. They can get to know themselves and get to be freer without telling people before you're
Exactly.
comfortable with it,
Sure.
right? It's just
Sure.
like anything else, right? You know, they tell you that in entrepreneurship, right? Like if you have a dream, don't tell it to dream killers, right? I want you to
Yeah.
do the same thing about your pleasure. Like it's fine to keep it to yourself until you
Mm-hmm.
have curated it enough to where you're strong in sharing it and who you are.
Yep.
Everybody's not, I feel like I've been strong since I was 2. Like I don't care what you know about me. Like I'm gonna be me the way I want to be me. But I
Yeah.
do know that everybody's not like that. And so what I have learned is if you know that people are going to have something to say, then don't give them anything to have anything to say about until you are ready, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't mean yourself forever, but it does mean while you're cultivating this in yourself, it's okay to keep that piece of you to you. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Because it's
Agree.
yours and it gets to be sacred and it gets to be, again, like
Yes.
your safe space. You can cultivate a safe space within yourself, right? So that you get to have that. You don't have to wear the labels that people give to you. I love that.
I love that. Well, we're out of time. I told you this show goes so quick. And Tony just been over there sitting quiet. You all right over there, Tony? You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I told you I was just gonna sit back
You
and
sit
listen
back and listen.
to
Listen
y'all,
in.
cause man, I need another show to 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 counteract what was being
Nah.
said right here. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of it, what y'all was saying, was valid, but it's a lot of it that y'all put in there that, to me as a man, is mythical. You feel what I'm saying? It's
But
real mythical. I'm 64 years old. I didn't experience everything that has been experienced doing sex in 64 years, that I feel has opened me up to a whole new world of possibilities. You know what I'm saying? First and foremost, for me, uh, anything dealing with sex, first, it has to be self pleasure first. You know,
Right.
if I don't know what turns me on, then like you said earlier, one of the queens said earlier, then I can't expect the lady to know how to turn me on if I ain't experienced with myself. So we have to first seek self pleasure first and foremost,
Right.
be it
But
masturbation or
Tony, let
whatever.
me
You know
ask
what I'm
you
saying?
this though, Tony. Do you understand that a woman's journey is different than your journey? So
Yeah,
it's wake up
yeah.
sis. Like when we talk about wake up happy, bro, we know y'all start with self pleasure, right? You're taught it's cute for you to play with your joystick,
yep,
right? Look at him playing his first game. You know what I'm saying?
yep,
You're taught that it's okay. You're taught that you are supposed to seek your
Okay,
pleasure.
wait, well, hold up,
Not
wait a minute, wait a minute.
yeah.
Are you talking about taught as far as in the household or being
No,
shown from?
society.
Okay, then, well,
as a
say
person.
society, because when you say taught, the first thing I'm thinking of, where I learned everything at, was at home, first and foremost. You know what I'm saying?
But
So when
you're
you say
taught in
taught,
different you're taught by different things. You're taught by
Yeah,
your parents. You're taught by your siblings. You're taught by your friends. You're taught by society. You're taught by
yep.
school. Like you said, we're of a certain age where they still
Life.
have education in school. So you're taught, period, all of the
Yeah,
things that came in and had an influence. But your influence was more so it's okay for you to get pleasure and get it. That should be your point first. That's
yep.
not our experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And even sex education is taught from a perspective that one is like very hetero. And then two is primarily about like for girls, it's like, oh, you need to like not get pregnant. You need to like not get STD. You, the responsibility is on you, responsibility is on you. Um, to not do these things as though women and girls snap our fingers and then become pregnant. And what I'll say, I know we're over time now, but the thing that's difficult is so one, and this is probably like me from my dominant perspective, but listening, getting to have three women have this conversation and be party to it is a privilege and a gift. And it's hard. I'll be honest and say it's hard for me to hear you say that some of the things that we said are mythical because that's a direct denial of our experience and our truth.
Yeah.
And so my feedback would be for exactly what you just did right now. So everything is a microcosm of life. The bedroom is just a microcosm of what we experience in our life. Having our own experiences in the bedroom, having our own pleasure, having our own stories denied by people who could not know what it is to be us is a regular occurrence. It's a
Mm-hmm.
regular occurrence. And so even though it probably was not your intention, you did it just then by being like, oh yeah, some of what y'all said was valid, but some of what y'all said was bullshit. Because I'm like, nah, all of what we said was valid. And even if you have a different opinion and
I'm
a different
speaking I'm
experience,
speaking
all of
my
what we
truth.
said was valid.
I'm speaking my truth. And you can feel that way about what you saying because what you say to you is valid to you. Just like when I'm saying to me, it's valid to me. You feel what I'm saying? You know, first and foremost, we must all understand and realize that all of us have been misinformed by misinformed people our entire life. Our entire life. So when we get into self care, first and foremost, first I got to find out who the hell I am first. I got to figure out me first. You know what I'm saying? And coming up in a strong household of five black strong women,
Mhm.
no male influence in my house. Period. I didn't have that male role model to show me no other things and nothing of that nature. So I had to learn everything from a female's point of view because I was raised in the house of females. You feel what I'm saying? So I understand everything what y'all saying, but it hits a nerve because it hit me from a male point of view. Whereas if I would have had any kind of male role model in my life to give me an example,
Mhm.
the visual example of how I should do certain things as a male in a male form, then I could probably interject a little bit differently from what I've been interjecting, you know what I'm saying? Or just sitting back listening and observing. Because, like I say, at 64, I'm still learning, you know? I'm
Oh,
still learning. I'm still
Yeah.
learning. You know what I'm
We
saying?
keep learning right
And
here.
yeah, like right now, I learned something about me that I didn't even know was there until God has brought it up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that means
I
now
think
I got to
the message is though,
so
Tony.
now
I
what I
think
got
the
to do
message is
is I got to go
all of
get in
us
that
have to be
mirror.
true at the same time. So
yeah.
we don't have to dishonor anything about your story for it to be true, and for our stories to be true, and you don't have to dishonor anything about our stories
That's
for
right.
your stories to be true. And I think
Yep.
that that's the end message.
Yep.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, everybody's experience, everybody's journey through life is going to be different, right?
Yeah.
And all of our stories are valid because they're our stories, right?
Yeah.
And there may be conflicts with my experience and how God has said stuff, how she says stuff, and how you see stuff. That's okay. And that's why we have this conversation so that
Yes.
we can bring these things to light so that men understand from a woman's perspective. Because being raised by women and being taught by women is not the same as being a woman. So while I understand you have a surface level,
Just
you know
flip
what
the
I mean?
script. Cause
Right,
y'all, you know what I'm saying? Flip the script.
right. But
Cause
all
you
of
can't
us
tell me nothing about being a man. Cause you ain't no man.
exactly. It's
Yes.
the same exact thing. Nobody's saying a man needs to do this, a man needs to do this. Our whole
I mean,
point
that's
today,
not this show.
right? Our whole point today was showing women and empowering women to learn about their sexual pleasure and their sexuality,
Mhm.
right? And that involves men in some cases.
It
We're
sure
not
does.
devaluing men or making them trying to feel any kind of way, but our experiences with men, there's a lot of similarities in most women's experience with men. That's just the reality. But we gotta go because we overtime, because we could have a whole nother hour on that topic, and maybe
Sound
we'll
like we
do
need an
a
episode
men
of
and
Wake Up
women's
Happy
panel.
Bro and
Right,
let
Tony, we're
Tony
gonna
do
work
the
on a men
conversation.
and women's panel so we can have
Yeah.
another topic, a discussion about this that allows men to share their opinion as well. So don't
Yeah,
worry.
cause this was like straight one sided right here, Jack.
Well, it's
But it's
called
cool
Wake Up
though. It's
Happy
cool. It's
Sis.
This
It's
cool.
is a
called
It's
Wake
show
Up
for
Happy
women.
Sis.
It's a show
You
for
got
women.
to Wake Up Happy Bro. That's another show.
Oh,
Yeah.
ain't that something? But I'm a co-host, so in essence, you supposed to look at me as a co-host. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
In service
if
of
this
women.
wake up happy sis, then
In service
the
of
show is
women.
you put the
there
little
ain't no
two snaps on it. Then
In
when you see me
service
two
here,
of
snaps.
women.
Ain't no two snaps.
It's
The
a
show
full
is
heterosexual
for
man,
and
but
will.
you have to remember the target of the show. The
It's
Yeah.
for
target of
It's
women.
in
the
service of
show
women.
is
That's it.
helping women. We're not taking it back to the male experience, but you can use your male experience to come and help women to wake up more happy as your sister. You could do that all day because that's what
Right.
this
But
show is.
this show is for and will always remain for women. Doesn't mean that I do not invite men in to discuss on the topics, but it may feel one sided to men because this show is a safe space for my sisters and myself to learn, to grow, to connect, and to feel safe having those discussions, right? But like you said, that might be another, not even better, a different conversation that we can have and have a panel. I'm open to that. But I'm always going to be in service of my women first
Period.
and foremost. So let's wrap up this show. I
Cool.
want to thank everybody for listening because it got a little hot at the end. I like it hot and spicy. So, we like all that. But I want to thank y'all for listening. And I want to make sure that we're continuing the conversation, right? These are conversations that have to happen. So we'll definitely be having another powwow. And hopefully my beautiful guests will show up again and we can have a panel with a couple of guys who want to come on and let's talk about it. We ain't arguing about it. We're just going to talk about it and have a good debate. And let's see if we can meet somewhere in the middle where they understand us and we understand them a little better. So,
Yeah.
Goddess Honeybee, tell people where they can find you, how they can connect with you.
You can connect with me. You can follow me on Instagram. My accounts keep getting deleted, but for right now, you can follow me at it's goddess honey underscore BITS. GODDESSHONEY and that's some of my, you can get most of my links from there.
Okay, let's see. That's it right there. Boom.
Is that
So
right, Goddess?
that's is that right? Can you see it? She might not be able to see it from the front.
Yeah.
All right.
No, I can see it. That's it.
So that's where you can connect with her, learn all about her. And Shay, let the people know how they can connect with you, learn about what you do. Don't you got something coming up soon too?
I do. So you can find me at Sha Cannon COO everywhere. So at sign Sha Cannon COO on all platforms. And I have a retreat coming up in Mexico. And so that's at shacannon.com/retreat. And yeah, I'm calling it Rest and Revenue Edition because there's an actual rest incorporated in the experience. And yeah, I invite you to come in and take part. I would love it.
And Tony, tell the people how they can get in with you, how they can connect with you.
Yeah, you can catch me at the Eye of the Storm at Spreaker.com 5 days a week, cause that's my baby, that's my platform. But you can also catch me every Saturday and Sunday at KCCR Radio, the Brownstone, baby. Man, this month is all lady song show for the rest of the month. Nothing but female artists on the show. So that's
Oh,
Saturday and Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. KCCR Radio, the Brownstone Worldwide, where we are changing the narrative of how we tell our story. Once again, thank you, Queens, for allowing me to be here. This was kind of like interesting for me. You know what I'm saying? It was interesting. Mm.
good,
And I'm
man.
gonna keep that in mind because the name of this show is Girl. I
Nope.
keep I
Ain't girl
forget that
money
part.
matters.
I forget that part when I come here because like Leanne make me feel like I'm one of the crew, so I forget that
You
part
are.
sometime when I come in.
You
That it's a
are.
really a girl, you know. So that's my bad because sometimes like I tell her, I always try to touch into my female side. So sometimes I get confused. I suffer from CRS. Can't remember shit sometimes. So you know.
Yeah,
I love y'all. Thank you so much.
you are part of the crew, right?
Yeah.
And you're welcome on any show I do because we do need different perspectives, right? And you help bring that. You bring good value, so don't trip. We ain't always got to look. People do not always agree. That doesn't
Mhm.
make us any less family.
Amen.
Exactly.
So
Amen.
thank y'all for joining. What's Brother Sim say? God bless and good night.
I know, right?
So
Peace out.
make sure you guys come in a little bit later. We've got the lunch mix going on. We also have later on, we've got Girl Your Money Matters. And we also have Marshawn Alanian coming in with her show. So make sure that you stay tuned to KCCR, the Brownstone, to get all of this goodness, baby. We giving it to you 5 days or 7 days a week.
Yeah.
See you later.